So there's an insane story coming out of West Virginia. It involves Justice Democrat Ilhan Omar, and it exposes some intense bigotry against her. So this is what sat on display outside of the House of Delegates chamber on Friday during a series of events around the state capitol for West Virginia's GOP day. Look. So for everybody just listening, it says, "Never forget," you said, on top. And it shows the Twin Towers and 9/11 when there was the terror attack and the planes hit them. And under it, it says, "I am proof you have forgotten." Now, I want to reiterate, this was shown at the state capitol, outside the House of Delegates chamber for West Virginia's GOP day. And it was just sitting there. And somebody saw it and was like, oh my goodness, I have to take a picture of this. Now, I was trying to think of like a parallel to this. I can't think of a parallel to this. I mean, maybe you could kind of say it's like if there was a thing of, that anti-Semitic cartoon with like the Jewish guy with his hands like this and the nose is caricatured and all that stuff, and like if that poster was sitting outside or something. I guess you could say it's somewhat similar to that, or one of those like old school racist ass cartoons with like the black caricature with big lips and eating like watermelon and fried chicken, and like that sitting outside of the GOP event. But honestly, I don't know. This might legitimately be worse, because what they're saying is, and it's not even thinly veiled, they're just like, she's a Muslim, she's like responsible for 9/11 based on that alone. Like, you said never forget after 9/11, and now you went and elected a fucking Muslim, so obviously you forgot. And the logic of that is just crystal clear. Like, oh, because she's Muslim, therefore she's responsible for 9/11. Because Muslims are responsible for 9/11. Which is kind of like saying, I was raised Catholic, and it's like saying my mom is responsible for the child sex abuse scandal. What? The fuck are you talking about? That's insanity. It's like saying, whatever, some random Christian in Kentucky is responsible for the Crusades. What the fuck? That person had nothing to do with it. Ilhan Omar had nothing to do with 9/11. She's as American as apple pie. But again, this is the point, is that this is the non-logic, the anti-logic of bigots. I mean, these people are massively bigoted. And I think the thing about this that pissed me off more than anything is that this is all happening at a time when poor Ilhan is under assault from dishonest people who are claiming she's an anti-Semite. She doesn't have an anti-Semitic bone in her body. And every single piece of evidence they use to claim that she's an anti-Semite, massively taken out of context and is interpreted in the most, dishonest light imaginable. I mean, like the thing with it's all about the Benjamins baby, and they try to say that was anti-Semitic. I mean, hilarious. It wasn't even close to anti-Semitic. What she's saying is money shouldn't control politics, and AIPAC, the Israel lobby, is controlling politicians. And she's clear, and she says in the same way, by the way, that the Saudi lobby controls politicians. She has at least had a half defense of the BDS movement, and they go, oh yeah, you wouldn't say that about Saudi Arabia? Why are you singling out Israel, anti-Semite? And she's like, actually, no, I would say that about Saudi Arabia. I would do the same thing against them. They're like, oh, well, you're still an anti-Semite. And honestly, a lot of people on the left are pissing me off here too, because there's no defense of Ilhan Omar from people who should be defending her. People have tweeted stuff buying into the logic of, well, when some people made mistakes and they came forward and apologized and were bigger people, and then others, when they make mistakes, they don't do that. Stop insinuating she actually is an anti-Semite when she's not. It was a bad faith smear all along. All along. And by the way, and I said she shouldn't apologize, and she did apologize, and now since I've done that, guess what? They haven't stopped. And that's why you don't apologize when there's a smear. Because you're actually feeding the trolls more. You're saying, okay, I agree, I buy into your framework, that I was responsible, and I was guilty of what you accused me of. Well, now, every time you say anything that can even 1% be interpreted as, oh my God, you're a bigot, they're going to take that and fucking run with it and say, oh, I thought you improved, but you didn't. You don't feed into the smears. So I said from the beginning, do not apologize. And she did an apology. I don't think she meant it, because I think she knows deep down she's not an anti-Semite, and the way it was interpreted was preposterous. But she did it, and then now as a result of it, she's under constant assault with these stupid BS smear stories. And then as she's facing criticism from her side of the aisle as well, now at the same time you got people fucking putting up garbage, actually bigoted posters like this shit. So she can't win. I'm getting fucking smeared relentlessly and accused of fucking perpetrating 9/11 because of my religion from the right, and half the left has just totally abandoned me and acts like I'm an anti-Semite and I'm an undesirable and I'm a crazy person. By the way, the people who put this up, Act for America, which is, they describe themselves as the NRA of national security. NRA of national security. Jesus fucking Christ. So, and by the way, there was another thing that came out the other day. There are death threats that were randomly written to Ilhan Omar in like some bathroom or something, and it was tweeted out, and she's like, yeah, okay, see, I deal with this every day. Actual bigotry. And now you're going to tell me that I'm a fucking anti-Semite because I tweeted all about the Benjamins because I'm against money in politics? Fuck off. That's what she wants to say, I think. But I'll be the one to actually say it because it's true. It's nonsense. And I hate that half of her fucking side abandoned her and bought into this nonsense smear. Oh, you're an anti-Semite. No, she's not. No, she's not. No, she's not. And your non-evidence for that is fucking embarrassing. And now you are feeding into the response where people are more than ready and willing to pile onto her, all these fucking assholes on the far right, and just hit her with the most bigoted attacks I've ever seen in my life. There's no other interpretation of this shit, of the fucking poster of Ilhan and then 9/11 and, you said never forget, I guess you forget. There's no other interpretation than that other than rampant bigotry and xenophobia. And unfortunately, there's much less discussion of that than there is about the fake bigotry of her, the supposed anti-Semitism, which isn't even there. So this is embarrassing. People need to realign their priorities here and realize what the real problem is and what's utterly made up